dear friends, in Plum Village, France, where we live and practice. Every time we hear the sound of the bell, we stop our thinking, we stop our talking, and we go back to our in-breath and breathe mindfully. And at least 3 times, in, out. And that practice is called listening to the bell, the sound, the bell of mindfulness. When you hear the bell, you naturally stop your thinking. It has become a habit. You naturally stop your thinking and you focus your attention on your in-breath and you enjoy breathing in. And when you breathe in mindfully like that, you bring your mind home to your body and you become fully alive in the here and the now. It takes only 3 seconds in order to bring the mind home to the body and establish ourselves in the here and the now. And when you are well established in the here and the now, you can get in touch with life. First of all, your body, your feelings, your perceptions, your mental formations, your consciousness. And you get in touch with the wonders of life around you. The energy of mindfulness has the power to heal, to transform. When you love someone, you have the tendency to offer him or her something. You want to make him or her happy. And you are inhabited by the energy of love. And that is why you have the desire to make him or her happy. As I have said, love has the power to heal, to nourish, to bring happiness, and to transform suffering. And the practice of mindfulness can produce love. The true elements of true love can be produced by the practice of mindfulness. And when you have that love in you, you are alive, you are peaceful, you are happy, and you can make the other person happy. Usually, when we want to make the other person happy, we want to give him or her something. We might write a poem for him, for her, or we might cook something good and give to him or to her, or you might go to the market and buy something. But the most precious thing you can give him or her is not something you can buy from the market. It's not something that you can buy with money. It's your true presence. You have to be there for him and for her if you truly love him or her. And in order to be there, you need the practice of mindfulness. And what you want to offer your beloved one is your true presence. How can you love if you are not there? To love means to be there for him or for her. And to be there is a practice. In the Buddhist tradition, when you begin to breathe in mindfully, you bring your mind home to your body. And when mind and body are together, you are truly there. In our daily life, very often our body is there, but our mind is not there. We are not truly there. It's impossible to love if you are not there. So practice mindful breathing. Bring your mind home to your body. It can help you to be there. Our in-breath, our out-breath is something like a bridge linking mind and body. And the moment when we pay attention to our in-breath and breathe in mindfully, we bring our mind home to our body and we are there in just 2 or 3 seconds. And you can go to your beloved one, looking in his eyes or her eyes, and you can say, darling, I'm here for you. Your presence is the most precious gift that you can make to your beloved one. There is an 11-year-old boy who is unhappy because his father is not there for him. His father is a very rich businessman, successful businessman too. But he does not have time for himself, for his wife and his son. That day he said, my son, tomorrow will be your birthday, right? Do you want anything? I will buy it for you. The young man did not know how to answer. He did not need anything. His father can afford to buy anything he wanted, but he did not need anything. He needed one thing, the presence of his father. From time to time, his father is there at home, but his mind is not with his body. So the young man has the impression that he does not really have a father. So after some reflection, he said, Daddy, it's you that I want. And if the father knows the practice of mindful breathing, he will begin to breathe in mindfully, and it takes only 3 seconds for him to be there, body and mind together. And looking into the eyes of his son, he said, darling, I'm here for you. It's very easy. Everyone can do that. To me, to love means to be there for your beloved one. And to be there, for me, is not a willing intention, a desire. That is a practice. In order to be there, you need to breathe in mindfully and bring your mind home to your body. Or you might like to practice walking meditation, mindful walking. While breathing in, you make 1 step or 2 steps. And you become aware of the step you make. You are touching life in the present moment with your foot. One step alone can bring you home to the here and the now and be fully present in the here and the now. There are many ways of practice that can help bring our mind home to our body so that we can be established in the here and the now. When you breathe in mindfully and look at a flower like this one, you have an opportunity to get in touch with this flower deeply. You are mindful that the flower is there. Mindfulness is the kind of energy that allows us to know what is there, what is happening in the here and the now. When you practice mindful breathing, the object of your mindfulness is your in-breath. Your in-breath is something that is happening in the here and the now. And you may enjoy your in-breath also. When you breathe in and using the energy of mindfulness generated by your in-breath, you can recognize that flower as existing. And you get in touch with that flower. And if your mindfulness is strong enough, powerful enough, you are concentrated on the flower, and you get the insight that that flower is a wonder. A wonder. And you may see that the flower belongs to the kingdom of God or the pure land of the Buddha. And when you get in touch with the flower, you get in touch with the kingdom of God, and you get in touch with God. Because God is always with His kingdom. And you may get the insight that the kingdom of God is available in the here and the now. You don't have to go and look for it in the future or somewhere else. You don't need to die in order to go to the kingdom. In fact, you have to be very alive in order to do so. And to be alive, to be fully present in the here and the now, you need only to breathe in mindfully. And it takes 2 or 3 seconds. So the kingdom of God is available to you because you have the power, the capacity of being mindful. And the insight you get is the kingdom is available in the here and the now. And you would like to make yourself available to the kingdom. And to make yourself available to the kingdom, that can be done very quickly. Just breathe in mindfully, or making a step mindfully. And then when you practice breathing in, I'm aware of my body. This is the third exercise recommended by the Buddha in the Sutra on mindful breathing. Breathing in, I'm aware of my body. Mindfulness of the body. You know that your body is there. And while breathing in like that, you bring your mind home to your body. And there you are, alive, present. And you might discover that your body also belongs to the kingdom of God. Your body, like that flower, is a wonder. And you can touch the kingdom of God also in your body. You don't have to go far and in the future in order to get in touch with the kingdom of God. Mindfulness allowed us to be alive and to touch the wonders of life inside of us and around us. And many of these wonders have the power to heal, to nourish. And you don't have to go to a temple in order to practice mindfulness. Walking from the parking lot to your office, you might enjoy the practice of mindful walking. You might like to enjoy every step. Touching the wonders of life. That is something all of us can do. Years ago, we offered a retreat for congressmen in Washington, D.C. They have a hectic life and they need the practice of mindfulness in order to release the tension, to relax and to be in touch with life. Many years after the retreat, they continue to practice mindful walking. And several of them wrote us and said that from the office where they work to the place where they cast the vote, they always practice mindful walking and stop all thinking, just walking. And they say that they survive that hectic life just by mindful walking. So from the parking lot to your office, you may like to do like that. You stop all your thinking and you enjoy every step. Walk in such a way that every step can bring you freedom, can bring you solidity, freedom, and healing. Many of us use the practice of mindful walking to heal ourselves. When you breathe in mindfully and focus your attention on your breath, when you make a step mindfully and focus your attention on your step, you release the past, you release the future, you release all your projects. Because your mind has only one object, that is your in-breath and your step. One in-breath or one step can set you free. Free from the worries and the uncertainty about future, free from the regret and the sorrow concerning the past. The past may be a prison, the future may be a prison. If you are subjected to regret, sorrow, fear, uncertainty, but when you focus your attention on your in-breath, you release everything. So one breath, one in-breath set you free. One step making mindfulness set you free. And when you are free, your body has regained its power to heal itself. And your mind also. I have said in the beginning that when you love someone, you would like to offer him or her the best thing you have. The best thing, the most precious thing you have is your presence. But your presence may have a higher quality. You are fresh, you are free, you are solid, you are happy. And the practice of mindfulness help you to retain your freshness, to cultivate more peace, more solidity. There is a practice for children called Pebble meditation. There are 4 pebbles, and the children practice like this. The first pebble represents a flower. Breathing in, I see myself as a flower. Breathing out, I feel fresh. The human being is a kind of flower. And if you don't know how to practice, and then we will lose our freshness. And we do not have much to offer the person we love. So practicing mindful breathing or walking and restore your freshness, your flowerness, is something possible. Releasing the worries, the fear, the anger, and restore your freshness is something that you can do while sitting or walking. The children practice breathing in, I see myself as a flower. You don't have to imagine yourself as a flower, because the human body, the human being is very beautiful. It is a real flower. Look at the child. Look at her face. Her tiny hand, his tiny foot is a real flower. It's beautiful when the child sleeps. It's beautiful when the child is awake and play. And we are born as flowers. And it is possible for us to preserve our flowerness, our freshness, our beauty. The second pebble, breathing in, I see myself as a mountain. A mountain represents stability and solidity. A person cannot be a happy person unless she has some stability. He has some stability. And the practice of mindful breathing, mindful sitting, mindful walking can always help us to cultivate more stability and solidity. And our solidity, our stability is something we can offer to the person we love. If we are too unstable, if we are not solid, we are not happy. And we cannot, and the other person suffer also because of that. So cultivating stability and solidity is something you can do. Breathing in, I see myself as still water. Breathing out, I reflect things as they truly are. When you are calm, you are not victims of wrong perceptions. You are not victims of anger and fear, because you are calm enough. You don't imagine things. So breathing in, breathing out, or practicing walking, you can cultivate peace, calmness, tranquility. A person who does not have enough peace in himself, herself, cannot be a happy person. So cultivating peace in oneself is something we can do with the practice of mindful breathing, mindful walking, mindful sitting. And when you have peace in you, you have something to offer him or her. Breathing in, I see myself as space. Breathing out, I feel free. If you do not have enough space in our heart, we have so much worries and fear and anger. We are not happy. And that is why the practice is to bring more space into our heart and around us. A person cannot be a happy person unless she has some freedom, some space in herself or around her. So to love means to offer space. And if you do not have space in you, how can you offer your beloved one with space? That is why the practice of mindfulness, whether that is mindfulness of breathing or walking, working, or eating, always help us cultivate these values, these energies. How we can cultivate our beauty, our freshness. We can cultivate more our stability and solidity. We can cultivate more the energy of peace, calmness, and we can always cultivate more the element of freedom in us. So when you look at your beloved one and you say, darling, I'm here for you, that is a great gift, because your presence has the element of freshness, of stability, of peace and of freedom. The best kind of gift you can make to him or to her. That presence generated by the practice of mindfulness, of breathing or walking, that presence is for you first, for us first, and then for the other person. We have to be truly present, because love always begins with oneself. If you are not capable of loving yourself, of taking care of yourself, you will not have the capacity to love the other person and take good care of him or her. And that is why loving oneself is the foundation for loving the other person. And there are practices that everyone can do in order to care for oneself, in order for us to be able to care for the other person and for the world. The Buddha proposed many easy, simple practices that everyone can do. Like the first practice of mindful breathing, exercise of mindful breathing, breathing in, I know I am breathing in. Breathing out, I know I am breathing out. You recognize your in-breath, you recognize your out-breath. And since you have your in-breath as the object of your mind, you release everything else, you are free. A very simple exercise, and the effect is great. It sets you free, just 3-4 seconds of breathing in. And you don't need to practice many months and many years in order to see the effect. The first few minutes, when you begin the practice, you can see the outcome right away. Breathing in, if you pay attention only to your in-breath, and then you can release, and the past, and the future, and all your projects, and the process of healing begins. right away. The second exercise on mindful breathing is breathing in. I follow my in-breath from the beginning to the end. I follow my in-breath all the way through. Your in-breath may last only 3 or 4 or 5 seconds. But while breathing in, you are fully concentrated on your in-breath. And you may enjoy breathing in, because breathing in is something enjoyable too. You don't have to suffer while breathing in. If you suffer while breathing in, you are not practicing correctly. Because life, there's a lot of suffering already in life. Why do you have to practice in order to suffer more? So whether it is the practice of mindful breathing or mindful walking, mindful sitting, we do it in such a way that it gives you pleasure and happiness. The practice is pleasant, should be pleasant. And when the energy of mindfulness and concentration are powerful enough, you always get an insight. That insight can help liberate you from your afflictions, like fear, anger, jealousy, despair, and so on. There are 3 kinds of energies that can be generated by the practice of mindfulness. The first energy is mindfulness, which allows us to become alive, to become present in the here and the now, and to be aware of what is happening in the here and the now. And the second energy is the energy of concentration. When you are very aware, when you are very mindful of something, you are naturally concentrated on that. If you are aware, if you are mindful of your in-breath, you'll be concentrating on your in-breath. So that is the meaning of the second exercise. Breathing in, I follow my in-breath all the way through. So mindfulness and become powerful because of the concentration that is born from the practice of mindfulness. And when mindfulness and concentration are together, are powerful enough, you always get the third energy, the energy of insight. Insight, in this case, does not come from thinking, but from mindfulness. And during the time of practicing mindfulness and concentration, you don't need to think. You might like to stop the thinking altogether. Insight as the outcome of non-thinking. When you breathe in mindfully and with concentration, we might discover many things. We might discover the fact that we are alive. Many do not know that they are alive. They are there, but they are not alive because that they do not have mindfulness. So there is a very simple exercise. Breathing in mindfully, I feel alive. And this is the truth. If someone is not alive, she cannot breathe in anymore. So breathing in mindfully, you get the insight that you are alive. And to be alive is the most wonderful thing. It is a miracle. It is the greatest of all miracles to be alive. And just 2 or 3 seconds breathing in can bring you that insight that you are alive, and you touch the miracle of being alive. And when you breathe out, you can celebrate the fact that you are alive. So happiness is possible, joy is possible just by one in-breath and one out-breath. And it's nourishing and healing. And breathing in mindfully like that help you to touch many conditions of happiness that have the power to heal and to nourish in us and around us. Suppose we breathe in and we become mindful of our heart. Breathing in, I'm aware of my heart. Generating the energy of mindfulness, you use that energy of mindfulness to recognize the presence of your heart. You kind of embrace your heart with the energy of mindfulness. And you can discover the fact that your heart still functions normally. That is already an insight. And it's wonderful to have a heart that still functions normally. There are those of us who only wish for that. And the deepest desire may be just having a heart, a normal heart like that. So breathing in and having our heart as the object of our mindfulness, we can feel grateful to our heart. And that is one of the conditions of happiness that we are having. And when the Buddha teaches the practice of mindfulness of the body, he advises us to get in touch with all parts of the body and smile and recognize these parts of the body. There is an exercise of deep total relaxation that we will try today. We put ourselves in the lying position and we begin to breathe in and out mindfully and recognize part of our body. It's like a scanning our body, not with X-ray, but the ray of mindfulness. You recognize your eyes, breathing in, I am aware of my eyes. Breathing out, I smile to my eyes. Recognizing the presence of your eyes. And you might get the insight that, well, my eyes are still in good conditions. A paradise of forms and colors is available to me just because I still have eyes in good condition. You need only to open your eyes in order to touch the paradise of form and color. That is another condition of happiness. And we go through the body and recognize every part of the body. And when we come to a place that is a little bit ailing, we may like to stop longer and embrace with compassion and tenderness that part of the body that is ailing. That practice of being aware of the body can help heal the body. You can still continue with your with the medicine, but to relax our body, to embrace tenderly that part of our body with mindfulness practice can accelerate, can help very much the healing, can make the healing happen more quickly. The third exercise, breathing in, I'm aware of my body, is part of that exercise. And the fourth exercise is breathing in, I release all the tension in my body. The body has the power to heal itself, only if we allow it to do that. When an animal in the forest get wounded, deeply wounded, she knows what to do. The animal finds a quiet place and lie down. She knows deeply that resting is the only way to heal. The animal does not think of looking for food or running after an animal. She knows that the best thing is to just lay down. Because the body has a natural tendency, natural power to heal itself. We human beings, we used to have that kind of wisdom. But we have lost our capacity to rest. We have worked our body too hard. We have accumulated a lot of tension in our body and make it more difficult for our body to heal. We only count on medicines and other kind of means. So the fourth exercise of mindful breathing is very helpful. It helps us to be aware of our body. And our mind become embodied again and help the body to release the tension. And when the tension is released, the body recover that capacity to heal itself. So the practice of mindful sitting with relaxation, the practice of mindful walking, the practice of mindful breathing while lying down can be very helpful. It can heal. And you do not have to set aside time in order to do that. Just as I said, walking from the parking lot to the office, you have a time to practice, releasing the tension and enjoying every step and every breath and touching the kingdom of God around you and inside of you. The only thing that is that there should be someone to remind you to do it. You might understand it perfectly, but you don't do it. We live as a community. Our root practice center is in France, but in North America we have Deer Park Monastery in Southern California, Escondido. And we have the Blue Cliff Practice Center in the state of New York. And we live as a fourfold Sangha, monks, nuns, and lay practitioners. And we practice together and we remind of each other to practice. When you listen to the bell, hundreds of us listen to the bell together. When we sit together and walk together, we do that together. And breathing together, walking together, sitting together, we generate a very powerful collective energy of mindfulness, concentration, and compassion. And that helps heal us. When you find yourself in an environment filled with that kind of energy, peace, mindfulness, compassion, you get the healing very easily and quickly. I think a corporation can organize also as a practice community. There are times when you can sit together, can breathe together, can walk together, release the tension together, and then together we can generate that kind of collective energy that is very nourishing and healing.
Our retreats of mindfulness are always attended by teenagers and children. And there are practitioners who bring their babies. Although the babies do not understand the Dharma talk, but if they find themselves in an environment that is so peaceful, so compassionate, they get the nourishment. They feel it. So everyone can profit from the practice. In a practice center, when you need to move from one place to another place, you always apply the techniques of mindful walking. No matter how short or how long the distance is. The practice is to arrive in the here and the now with every step. And touch in the wonders of life with every step. And while we walk, we do not talk. And we do not think. When we stop our thinking, our talking, we touch life more deeply so that we can get the nourishment and the healing. And when, let us enjoy breathing together. When you eat your breakfast, you have a chance to practice mindfulness of eating. You don't have to think about your projects, your work. Every moment of breakfast is an opportunity for us to get in touch with the wonders of life. Today we will have a chance to share a meal together in mindfulness. Holding a piece of bread, you might like to stop your thinking and look deeply into the piece of bread. Mindfully, you breathe in, and you might get in touch with the fact that the piece of bread that you are holding contains the whole universe. There is the sunshine that help the wheat to grow. There is the cloud that provide rain for the wheat to grow. The earth is in there. Time, space, and everything of the cosmos has come together in order to have produced that piece of bread. And that insight you can get in just a few seconds of looking mindfully at that piece of bread. If you keep thinking about the past or the future or your projects, you miss the bread. You miss the kingdom of God that the bread is bringing to you. And when you put the piece of bread in your mouth, you might like to enjoy just chewing the bread, getting in touch with the wonders of life, instead of chewing your projects, your worries, your fear. You stop all your thinking. You just enjoy eating your breakfast. And that is a practice. You don't need to set aside time for practicing. When you take a shower, that is time to practice mindfulness. You might enjoy your mindful breathing and become aware of the water of your body, and that you can create the joy and the happiness while taking the shower. The essential is to stop thinking. The thinking will carry you away and doesn't allow you to live that moment of life. René Descartes said that I think, therefore I am. I am not very sure of that. Because if you think so much, you go around with your thinking might not be productive at all. It carries you to many realms, and it could make you worry more, angrier, and so on. So if you are carried away by your thinking, you are not there. That's why I think, therefore I am not there. It's better to stop the thinking in order to be there. When we brush our teeth, we may choose to brush our teeth in such a way that make freedom and joy and happiness possible during the time of brushing our teeth. It may take 2 minutes or 3 minutes. And the essential is to stop your thinking. Even if you have a lot of things to do, stop your thinking and enjoy brushing your teeth. When I brush my teeth, I usually touch the fact that I am over 80 and I still have some teeth to brush. And that is enough to make me happy. Brush your teeth in such a way that freedom is possible. Joy and happiness be possible during the time of toothbrushing. That is a challenge. And I know you can do it. Do not think about your work, your projects. Just enjoy being there and brush your teeth. That moment you can live it deeply also. Because you can always touch the wonders of life, the kingdom of God in the here and the now. We used to distinguish between time for work and free time. Let us change our way of thinking. Suppose you have some free time, and if you do not know how to make use of your free time, your time is not truly free. If you could keep thinking and worrying, that time does not make you happy. That time is not for working, of course, but you continue to think about it. You continue to worry about it. And that thinking is not productive. It's very important to learn how to release and to be fully in the moment. And watering the vegetable garden, in the backyard, you might like to be fully present with that. Cooking breakfast, you might like to make breakfast cooking into a session of meditation. You can enjoy every minute of breakfast making. You don't try to do it quickly in order to have breakfast. Or doing the dishes. You can enjoy deeply every second of doing dishes. You don't have to try to finish quickly in order to do other things. We have the tendency to rush, to finish quickly with what we are doing. It has become a habit. And with mindfulness of breathing, you can recognize that habit, and it helps you to stop being carried away by that kind of attitude. Suppose you are washing dishes and you want to finish in order to sit down and enjoy a cup of tea. With the practice of mindfulness, you can make the time of dishwashing a beautiful time also, a joyful time, when you are fully alive. And if you are not capable of doing so, when you finish washing the dishes and sit down and hold the cup of tea, you will think of other things. You will not be able to enjoy the tea. You are always carried away. You are not capable of living your life in the present moment. And mindfulness helps us to live deeply every moment of our daily life. And we need some training in order to do so. And if we have a chance to live with a community of practice, and then we get that habit of living deeply each moment of our daily life. In Buddhist meditation, we know that insight is the factor that can help us transform afflictions like anger, fear, despair. Insight is the kind of energy that can liberate us. And we know that insight is not the outcome of thinking. We have the thinking mind, but our consciousness is more than the thinking mind. In Buddhism, we speak of store consciousness. And that is something much bigger than our thinking mind. Imagine an iceberg in the ocean. The part that we see above the water is very small, but the part in the water is huge. Store consciousness is like that. Our mind consciousness is very small. In neuroscience, people like to speak of that part of consciousness as background consciousness. Sometimes we call it root consciousness, mula vijnana. Sometimes we call it appropriating consciousness. Sometimes we call it store consciousness. That part of consciousness is always with the body. It has the capacity to receive information. It has the capacity to process information. And it has the capacity to preserve, to conserve, preserve the information. And mind consciousness is the upper level of consciousness. Mind consciousness sometimes can stop operating, like in the case you sleep without dream, your mind consciousness stops completely if you do not have dream in your sleep. there is a kind of meditation, concentration called no perception meditation. And when the practitioner go into that meditation, his mind consciousness stop operating also. And we talk about realm of life where there is no mind consciousness, there's only store consciousness. Suppose we look at a tree, we know that somehow there is consciousness in the tree, because the tree knows how to gather information, to process information, to get the nourishment, to react, to survive. Consciousness is in the tree. But the tree does not seem to have doing a lot of thinking. There's a Vietnamese poet who said that, well, next life I would like to be a pine tree so that I don't have to think. To think make me suffer too much. In the Zen tradition, mind consciousness is the gardener, and store consciousness is the land, is the garden. The gardener can prepare the land, plant the seed, water the seed. But it is store consciousness, it's the land that can produce the flower and the fruit of enlightenment. So practicing meditation, we don't count on mind consciousness alone. We count mostly on store consciousness. Mind consciousness has to play the role of the gardener. It has to work the land and plant the seed well and cover up and water. That's all. The insight, the discovery, what we find out is not the work of mind consciousness. It is the work of store. And many scientific discoveries have been done in that. Not by the thinking mind, but by the unconscious mind. So it is possible for us to entrust the task to our deeper consciousness. We have to pose the question, to ask the question correctly. In Zen Buddhism, we call it koan. Suppose the teacher give you the koan, everything come home to the one, where the one will go, have to go. What is the sound of one hand? All these are devices. It's kind of question that we entrust to store consciousness. The important thing is to ask the right question very clearly and to entrust the question to store consciousness. And after having done that, the gardener may like to do other things. There is a Buddhist scholar in America. One time I told him that I enjoy gardening. I enjoy planting lettuce and things like that. And I say that when the lettuce does not grow well, you don't blame the lettuce, but you feel that if the lettuce grow well or not well, is the gardener who is responsible. And he said, "Thầy, you should not spend your time growing lettuces, because you can use your time to write poems," because he liked my poetry. I told him, "Dear friend, if I do not grow lettuce, I cannot write these poems. It's because I am capable of growing lettuce, that is why I can produce a poem like that." So washing your dishes, enjoying washing dishes, stop the thinking and get the pleasure in washing the dishes, is a way to support store consciousness, to bring about the insight. Brushing your teeth mindfully and enjoy brushing your teeth. Do not think about your project. Do not try to find the solution with your thinking mind. And that is the practice. Non-thinking is the secret of the success. And that is why the time when we are not working, that time can be very productive if we know how to focus on the moment and enjoy every moment of our daily life. And if we know how to do that, we will not be victim of stress, anxiety, depression, and so on. That is one aspect of the problem. The other aspect of the problem is that the time called work time, we can handle it in such a way that we can enjoy, that it can bring us pleasure. There is a way not to be under pressure. There is a way in order to enjoy really what you are doing as work. We in Plum Village, we do a lot of things. We want to succeed in what we do. We offer many retreats of mindfulness everywhere, in many countries, Europe, Asia, America, Australia. We organize days of mindfulness, sessions of practice. We organize retreats for health professionals, school teachers, young people, and so on. We want to succeed in our work also. But we learn how to do the work in such a way that we will not be victim of pressure and stress. Many monks and nuns who are excellent Dharma teachers, they enjoy cooking, they enjoy cleaning, they enjoy gardening, and they consider these things as important as the other kind of work. We learn how to enjoy rearranging the cushions in the meditation hall. We enjoy growing vegetables. And everything we do, we put all our heart and mind in it, and we try to do it in such a way that freedom and joy and brotherhood and sisterhood become possible. There are times when we sit together in a meeting, but we don't talk about work. We have a weekly meeting called Meeting of Happiness. And in the meeting, you just remind each other that we have so many conditions of happiness available. And it may take 2 hours, 3 hours, just with 1 cup of tea, and we nourish each other with the practice of mindfulness. We remind each other that we are very lucky people, that we have so many conditions of happiness available right in the here and the now. We don't need to go and look for more conditions of happiness. And that's very nourishing. And I think that in a corporation, this is possible also. And many of the practice in a practice center can be used in the life of a corporation. Every time we organize a retreat, 6 days or 7 days, we see many people transform. The practice is simple enough for everyone to do. The practice of mindful breathing, mindful sitting and walking, releasing the tension in the body. Everyone can do. And when you are able to reduce the tension in your body, to release the tension in your body, you also can reduce the amount of pain in your body, including chronic pain, because the pain and tension, they go together. If you can release tension, you can reduce the pain. And the basic practice of mindful breathing, to be aware of your body and to release the tension in your body, you can do it several times a day. Many of our brothers and sisters program a bell of mindfulness in the computer. And every 15 minutes, the bell reminds us to stop and to enjoy breathing in and breathing out. The bell of mindfulness. The practice helps us to touch the conditions of happiness in the here and the now, so that we can generate a feeling of joy at any moment we want. And that is not too difficult. If you go back to your body, if you bring your mind home to your body, and establish yourself in the here and the now, you will realize that conditions for your happiness are more than enough. And happiness is possible right in the here and the now. So to generate a moment of joy is possible. To generate a moment of happiness is also possible for a practitioner, no matter where and when. And the practice of mindfulness also helps us to recognize a painful feeling, a painful emotion when they manifest. A painful feeling, we have the tendency to try to run away from it. We want to cover it up by consumption. If we listen to music, if we read magazines, if we eat, maybe it's not because these things are very bring us a lot of happiness, but because we don't want to get in touch with the suffering. We want to cover it up with consumptions. Obesity is the outcome of that. You have the feeling of loneliness, despair, anger, worries in you, and you don't know how to handle. And that's why you want to forget to run away. And one of the ways is to just consume. So music, magazines, food are there in order to help you to cover up your suffering. You do not solve the problem. But the practice consists in going home and take good care of that pain. Breathing in, I'm aware of the painful feeling in me. There is the energy of pain, of course. But as a practitioner, you generate the energy of mindfulness and concentration. And with the second energy, you recognize the first energy. Hello there, my little pain. I know you are there. I will take good care of you. So like a mother holding her baby when the baby suffers, the practitioner generates the energy of mindfulness and concentration and go home and take care of the painful feeling or the painful emotion in him or in her and get a relief. So many young people who are not capable of handling a strong emotion. And they believe that the only way to stop suffering is to go and kill themselves. That is why so many young people commit suicide everywhere. But we know very well that an emotion, whether it is strong, however strong it is only an emotion. And we are much more than an emotion. We don't have to, an emotion that is something that come and stay for some time and finally will have to go away. Why do we have to die because of just one emotion? That is what you can remind yourself when an emotion manifests in you. And if you know the practice of mindful breathing, mindful walking, generating the energy of mindfulness, you can very well recognize and embrace that emotion. And you are safe. An emotion is like a storm coming, and there are ways in order to stand and not to allow the storm to blow you away. The practice of deep breathing in a position of sitting or lying down. Focus your attention on the rise and fall of your abdomen. And just that, stop all the thinking. Because the more you think, the emotion, the stronger the emotion can become. Stopping the thinking. Bring your mind down to the level of the navel. And breathe in deeply and become aware of the rise and fall of your abdomen. And stay in that position and continue. And your emotion could not be able to do anything to you. And after 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or even half an hour, the emotion will go and you will survive it. And next time you say that next time when it comes, you do just that. It's easy enough. We should train ourselves only a few times. And every day, if we know how to do it for a few minutes, and then after a few weeks, it will become a habit. And when the emotion manifests, you will remember to practice. And you are no longer afraid of an emotion. So when the baby suffers, the mother should be there in order to pick up the baby and hold the baby tenderly. The mother does not know what is the cause of the suffering of the baby, But the fact that she is holding the baby tenderly can already make the baby suffer less, because the energy of tenderness begin to penetrate into the baby, that bring a relief. And after having hold the child for a few minutes, the mother might find out what is wrong with the baby, and she can change the situation easily. The same is true with the practitioner. In the beginning, she does not know what is the root of that pain, that emotion. But the fact that she is able to hold it tenderly without attempt to run away, can already bring a relief. And with a little more of concentration and mindfulness, we can discover the nature, the roots of our emotion, and that will help transform the emotion and the pain. And if adult father, mother, school teachers know how to do that, they will teach the young people how to do it. It's easy enough to learn. And therefore, a practitioner of mindfulness is capable of releasing the tension in her body, reduce the pain in his body, generate a feeling of joy whenever he wants, generate a feeling of happiness whenever she wants, recognize and embrace a painful feeling, recognize and embrace a painful emotion. All these things can be learned. And we hope that in the future this kind of practice can be taught in school at every level. We are trying to do that. We have met with school teachers in many countries, and they all agree that this is something they must learn and bring into the classroom and help the young people. The miracle of transformation and healing always happen in our retreats. During this North American tour, we have offered a retreat in Vancouver for 800 people. After that, another retreat for more than 900 in Colorado. And we just finished one in Southern California, Escondido, for 700 people. And the miracle of transformation and healing always happened. And using the practice of compassionate listening and gentle speech, many people are capable of restoring communication and reconcile. And there are those of us who can use our mobile phone to practice listening with compassion and using loving speech in order to reconcile with those who are at home, who are not in the retreat. And we have been offering so many retreats like that in the world, and seeing that the effect, the result, the fruit of the practice, we are encouraged in this practice. That is why, as monks and nuns and lay practitioners, we want to continue. We want because that brings us a lot of happiness. And we want to share the practice and to help many people to suffer less. And that is why we are we want also success. But our success, our willingness to succeed does not remove us from the present moment. Our practice is to be grounded always in the present moment. We know that the future is made only of one element, that is the present moment. And if we take care of the present moment the best way we can, it means that we have done everything we can do for the future. And that is our practice, to be there in the here and the now and do our best with that, and do not let the worries, the projects carry us away. I think many are successful in their career, but many have become victims of their own success. They are not happy. Happiness is not the aim of when we do something we want to succeed. But is that worthwhile to continue if that success does not bring happiness? And many have become victims of their own success. And although they succeed in their enterprise, but happiness is not there. They have no time to love, to live their life. They have no time for themselves. They have no time for their beloved one. I know a successful businessman in Germany. His name is Frederick. He's only 40. He's a very successful businessman, but his wife, Laura, suffered very deeply because of loneliness, because Frederick did not have the time, even for himself, and for her, and for their son. She tried to suffer less by doing humanitarian work. She tried to forget her loneliness by going to school and get another degree. But that did not help. And she cried during the night. And he said that, darling, no one can replace me now. I have to wait 3-4 years before I can find someone to replace me, and then we will have more time for ourselves and for our son. For the moment, no one can replace me. And that promise was never been fulfilled, because 6 months later he got killed in an accident. Car accident. He was so busy that when his wife was hospitalized, he could not have the time to go to the hospital. And even when his son, Philip, was hospitalized, he could not go to the hospital. because his time, his energy is sucked by the will to succeed. And you know what happened? Only 3 days after his death, they found someone to replace him. And Frederick is still alive. There are many Frederick are among us, and many Laura are among us. We have to wake up from that. We have to learn how to change our way of life in order to be truly alive. And the practice of mindfulness helps us bring real love, real happiness to our life. There are four elements of true love that mindfulness can help generate. The first element of true love is love and kindness, maitri. That is the capacity to make another person happy. And we have already learned that if we cannot make ourselves peaceful, fresh, and happy, we cannot make another person happy. The practice of mindfulness help restore solidity, freedom, peace, and freshness to us, so that we have the capacity to make the other person happy. The second element of true love is compassion, karuna. That capacity of understanding the suffering and help remove it. If you love someone, you should understand the suffering in him or in her. And you should be able to help transform that and remove that. And that you can do only after you have done it for you. You have fear, anger, despair in you. And if you don't know how to transform it, how can you help your beloved one to do the same? So understanding the suffering inside and bring a relief and transformation is very crucial for love. And then you'll be able to help your beloved one transform the suffering. So that is the second element of true love. The capacity to help someone suffer less. And the third element of true love is joy. Because true love always generate joy for you and for the other person. If both of us cry during the process of loving, that's not true love. True love should bring joy every moment of our daily life. And mindfulness can help doing that. And the fourth element is of true love is inclusiveness. In true love, there is no longer any frontier between you and your beloved one. Your suffering is his suffering. His happiness is your happiness. And there is a perfect mutual understanding between two of you. And together you can serve and help many people. True love is the kind of love that always grows. It has no frontier. And practicing true love, you begin to embrace everyone, the whole planet, and bring a lot of joy to you. And that is why we have to know where we go. If love is our destination, and then we have to sacrifice other things that is not love, like fame, wealth, sensual pleasure, power. Because there are those who have plenty of these things and who suffer very deeply. And when I was ordained as a monk at the age of 16, my teacher gave me the Dharma name Thich Nhat Hanh, which means one action. You do only one thing. You don't do many things at the same time. Monotasking. And I try to live according to this teaching. I want to transform myself. I want to help people happy. Because I know that if people are happy, I can be happy also. And that is why Buddhist concentration, Buddhist meditation is made of two elements. The first element is concentration. You focus your attention just on one thing. Otherwise, your concentration is not powerful enough to get a breakthrough and to get insight. And concentration can be practiced not by thinking, but by brushing your teeth in mindfulness, washing your dishes in mindfulness, watering the vegetable in mindfulness, enjoying every step. That will make the concentration more and more powerful, and your store consciousness will bring you offer the insight that you need. And that is why the first element of Buddhist meditation is samadhi, concentration, and the second is vipassana, means looking deeply. You concentrate on just one thing, and you only look deeply into that one thing, and that is the technique, as the secret of bringing up insight. I think concerning informations, we know that we have the feeling that we are overwhelmed by informations. We don't need that much information. We just need a few. And there are basic informations that we should maintain alive, because there are many things we know, but we never put into practice. So your happiness does not depend on how much information you have, but what kind of information that you have, and how you put into practice that kind of information. And the basic information is that we are alive. Breathing in, I know I am alive. And breathing out, I can touch all wonders of life in me and around me in this moment. And that can cultivate my happiness. That can make me an instrument of love. And I can help, I can love. Well, let us have the rest of our time for a few questions. Thank you. Brother Spirit, Brother Stream, who say something about wake up, right? After. There is a microphone somewhere.
Hi. Oh, it works. Thank you for being fully present here for us. I have a question about mindful walking. I'm pregnant, so when I'm walking, my hip really hurts and my knees, they all hurt. So if I do mindful walking, does that mean I focus on my painful knees and painful hips? And shouldn't I just think about something else and get distracted?
Yeah. You may join us sitting on a chair, and someone can push you, and you can profit from the collective energy of peace and joy. And you do walking meditation with your feet later, but now you can sit on a chair and let someone push you. This is possible. Yeah.
So this is not the right time for me to do mindful walking.
I think at least you can enjoy a few steps. Can always enjoy a few steps, but when it becomes difficult, tiring, you can stop. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. There are practitioners of meditation who could not walk, and but they like to join us during walking meditation. They bring along their armchair, and they wheelchair, and they enjoy the sangha and the collective energy of the generated by the practice.
Hello? Oh, this one works here. My name is Alex Aris. I'm working at Google, and so my question is not necessarily my question, but it could be maybe a typical Googler. But I think this is very relevant. So you said if you practice mindfulness, this is good, but I'm thinking how we can apply this in Google. So I think a typical Googler would think about, well, you know, if I practice mindfulness, then I think I'm going to lose a lot of time. Because you mentioned, you know, do your breakfast with mindfulness. So don't think about the projects and get the chance to get in touch with your life. Don't multitask. Don't eat quickly. So don't do a task while eating, but there are many people who use their laptops while eating. So, and then they would be concerned, what am I gonna do? That I'm gonna be losing a lot of this time. And even if they are not concerned that they will be losing the time, they will be concerned that other people will think that they are spending too much time eating breakfast or doing other things and not thinking about their projects. And so what will my team think about me? What will the performance review will be about me? So will they say like he didn't spend enough time and so on. So how do you, reply to these concerns, thinking if we would apply this in Google? So.
I have said that usually our thinking may be not very productive. Our thinking is sometimes very productive, but not always productive. And our thinking may lead us away. That's one thing I said. And thinking is not the only way to succeed in finding out what you want to find out. The second thing I said is that while you are brushing your teeth mindfully and eating your breakfast mindfully, although you do not think about it, but your store consciousness continue to work on it. You have to rely on your store consciousness. If one day you can invent something, that's the work of store consciousness. And many scientists, famous scientists, have reported that the insight came when they do not think, when they did not think.
Thank you.
Thai. Yeah. My name is Meng. I don't do anything, and I hope to do even less when I grow up. My question for you. So for me, you are a symbol of perfection as a practitioner, in my opinion. And that I find that very inspiring. But ironically, I find most inspiring when you are not perfect. And the example of that is, I read in your book somewhere that there was a moment where you got angry at somebody. And then you say you got almost so angry, you almost want to stand up and hit the guy. But you didn't, right? Because you are like the symbol of peace. And and I actually found that very inspiring, because to me it's like even Thich Nhat Hanh has anger. And so my question for you is, I want to ask you to talk a little bit about your imperfection. And hopefully your imperfection will inspire all of us.
This is a very important question. The problem of happiness and suffering, the problem of perfection and non-perfection is the same. When I speak about the kingdom of God, I say that the kingdom of God is not a place where there is no suffering, to me, because many people believe that the kingdom of God should be a place where there is no suffering. But according to this teaching and practice, if there is no suffering, there will be no happiness. It's like when you grow lotus flower, you need the mud. If there is no mud, there is no lotus. So happiness is made of, we all know that happiness, when you are happy, it means that you have understanding and love and compassion. Without understanding and compassion, you cannot be a happy person. And understanding and compassion arise only out of suffering. When you begin to see the suffering in someone, and when you see that that person is helpless, he does not know how to handle the suffering inside of him. He suffers, he is victim of his suffering, and he makes people around him suffer, including you. The moment when you begin to see that truth and understand the suffering in that person, compassion arises in you. Understanding bring about love and compassion. And when you have compassion, you don't want to punish him anymore. Before that, you suffer, you are angry. But now, because you have seen the suffering, you have understood the suffering, you are motivated by the desire to help him to suffer less. It means that you have made use of the suffering in order to create understanding and compassion. We know that without understanding and compassion, no happiness is possible. And that is why we know also that in the kingdom of God there is suffering. Where there is no suffering, no mud, there is no lotus flower. Where there is no suffering, there will be no understanding and compassion. So my definition of the kingdom of God is the place where people know how to make good use of suffering in order to create understanding and compassion. It's like we know how to make good use of the mud in order to produce beautiful lotus flowers. So happiness and suffering, they lean on each other to manifest. Anger is a kind of mud. Despair is a kind of mud. And if you allow that mud to overwhelm you, well, you suffer. But if you know the practice, and then you can make good use of anger and despair in order to create peace and happiness. As an organic gardener, you know how to make good use of the garbage. You can create compost from the garbage in order to nourish flowers and vegetables. The same thing is true with suffering and happiness. Thanks to the fact that you have suffer, that you have ingredients in order to make happiness. Looking deeply at that suffering, embracing deeply that suffering, understanding arise, and you can create joy and happiness. That is why suffering play a role in the making of happiness. What is wrong with the practice is that when suffering is there, and if you don't know how to handle suffering, that is wrong. But it's not wrong to have suffering. To have suffering, and if you know how to make good use of the suffering in order to create happiness, that is something good. So we have to distinguish between good practice and bad practice. If it is normal that a human being has craving, has anger, has frustration, worries. But if that human being knows the practice of mindfulness, he or she will be able to make good use of that and transform it into something else like peace and understanding. So without suffering, without having anger and sadness and despair, how could you create peace, happiness, and non-fear? So it's like the left and the right. If the left is not there, the right cannot be there. And if politically you are on the left, you should not try to make the right disappear, because if the right disappear, you disappear at the same time. So we should have that non-dualistic way of looking at things. It is because you have anger, you have despair, you have suffering, that you have a chance to transform them into something better, peace, happiness, and love.
Hi, hello. Thanks for being here. As a person who's struggled with depression in the past, I'm wondering if you have anything in particular to say about mental illnesses and how mindfulness can play a role in helping people who struggle with that. Thanks.
Mental illness is like other kind of illness. They have their roots. Suppose we speak of a depression. Depression does not come by itself alone. If we look deeply into the depression, we see the roots of the depression. The Buddha said that nothing can survive without food. Your love, no matter how beautiful your love is, and if you don't know how to nourish your love, to feed your love, it will turn to be something else later on, like hate and anger. So love needs food. Suffering also, your depression also needs food in order to be alive. We have lived in such a way, we have consumed in such a way that make depression possible in the present moment. The way we live our daily life in the last 6 months, for instance, the kind of nutriment we have got, like fear, anger, despair, and we do not know how to handle these. We have allowed them to be accumulated for a long time. That is why the depression has become a reality. The Buddha said that what has come to be there, if you know how to look deeply and to identify the source of food, the source of nutriment that has brought it in. After you have seen the roots and the source of nutriment of what has come to be, you already begin on your path of transformation and healing. Because if you know how to identify the kind of nutriment that have brought your depression, you know how to cut that source of nutriments. And if you stop consuming that kind of nutriment, you deprive your depression of food, and your depression will have to die in a few weeks or in a few months. So that is why the learning the art of mindful living, we will not continue to ingest the kind of food that we have. The Buddha spoke about 4 kinds of nutriments: edible food, sense impressions, the kind of food that you consume not by the mouth, but by eyes, ear, and mind. There are many toxic things that we consume in our daily life. And the third kind of food is volition. Your deepest desire, your deepest intention is the food. And also the fourth kind of nutriment, which is collective consciousness. If you live in a place where there is a collective energy of fear, anger, craving, hate, you consume. That is why refraining from consuming nutriments that are toxic, you deprive your depression of food, and your depression will have to die in a few weeks. And that is why all mental illness are like that also. We have allowed ourselves to be in a toxic environment. We have allowed ourselves to consume items that contain craving, anger, fear, despair. And that is why these symptoms of mental illness have appeared. And the way we deal with our sickness, we try to suppress them. When the suffering come up, we do not allow them to come up. We try to suppress them by the way of consuming. We want to cover them up, and we create a situation of bad circulation in our consciousness. And that is why symptoms of mental illness begin to appear. But if you know how to practice mindfulness, you allow the pain to come up, and you embrace tenderly your pain and recognize it and look into it. And then your pain will be embraced by that energy of mindfulness and concentration and compassion, and will go down, losing some strength. And next time when it come up, you allow it to come up because you know how to handle it, handling the pain. And after a few weeks of practicing like that, you restore a state of good circulation in your consciousness. And the symptoms of mental illness will begin to disappear. And that is why the practice of mindfulness can be very healing, physically and also mentally.
Thank you so much for coming and reminding us how easy it can be to be happy and peaceful and loving. My question follows on something that you said early on regarding meditation as a combination of mindfulness, concentration, and then insight that arises. My question is about the insight. Having achieved an insight through meditation, does one expend effort to act on that insight, or does one simply hold the insight in mind and allow this natural circulation that you speak of to transform the mind?
Insight can be maintained and nourished. Like insight can come just in the present moment, like in the exercise of mindful breathing in, I feel alive. So you touch the insight that you are alive, and to be alive is a miracle. And that is why when you breathe out, you can enjoy, you can be happy, you can celebrate the fact that you are alive. But the practice of concentration can keep the insight alive. And if the insight is alive, happiness continues to be. If you allow the insight to go away, your happiness may go away also. It's like the insight of interbeing. A father looking deeply into his son, see that he is fully present in every cell of his son. And if the son looks into himself, he can see that in every cell of his body, his father is fully present. And he got the insight of father and son inter-are. You cannot remove father from son. You cannot remove son from father. That is the insight of interbeing. And when the insight of interbeing between son and father is alive, anger is impossible. Because when you get angry at your father, you get angry at yourself. You are a continuation of your father. If there is a young man who say that, I hate my father, I don't want to have anything to do with that person, it means that that young man does not have the insight of interbeing. He does not know that his father is in him, and it is impossible to remove his father from him. If he's removed the father from him, he is no longer there. And if that insight is in him, he knows that he has to reconcile with his father in him. Because to say that I do not want to have anything to do with that person is nonsense, because You are his continuation. You are him. How can you say that you do not have anything to do with him? To say that means you do not have the insight of interbeing. And the insight of interbeing not only liberate you from suffering, but it show you the way to behave in order for harmony, for love, for happiness to be possible.
Hello. Thank you very much for your tender and conscious comments. One of my passions is working with children, and I had the opportunity to be in India last year working with small children, and I was amazed at how, no matter what they've been through, they had this joy and this compassion and this feeling of connection with community, even to the point where they would write on our hands, when the world gives you 1,000 reasons to cry, show the world you have 1,000,000 reasons to smile. I found it so beautiful. One of the things I do is work with children in yoga, in visualization, and creative play. And I find children in our community are already starting to multitask and looking at the digital community and getting very fragmented in minds. And one thing I find that works very, very well is teaching through stories. And I was wondering if you had a sweet story that we may be able to share, even with our own children, helping to illustrate the power of mindfulness or joy, compassion, maybe one of your favorites.
When I was small, I saw the drawing of a Buddha on the cover of a Buddhist magazine. The Buddha was sitting on the grass, very peaceful, very happy. And I wished I can be someone like him, because around me people are nervous, unhappy. So the first time when my school organized a outing, climbing a mountain, I was very excited because we learned that there was a hermit practicing on the mountain in order to become a Buddha. I had not seen a hermit before, so I was very enthusiastic climbing. And we were organized in groups of 5 boys or 5 girls. And many hundreds of us were climbing the mountain. We did not know how to practice walking meditation. We tried to climb as quickly as possible. And half the way, we drank all our water. We were very thirsty when we come up to the top of the mountain. And the worst thing is that I learned that the hermit was not there. Perhaps he had heard that 500 children are coming. It's not quite enough for him, so he had hidden himself somewhere in the mountain. So when we were given the order to display our picnic and eat, I alone venture into the wood, hoping that I can see the hermit. And I hear the sound of water dripping, and I follow, and I discover a very beautiful natural well. The water was very limpid, and you know that I was very thirsty. I'm so happy, I knelt down and cup the water and drink. And suddenly a thought came to me. I believe that the hermit has transformed himself into a well. so that I can have a private audience with him. And when you are small and when you have read many fairy tales, you believe things like that. And after I have drunk the water, I feel so peaceful, so happy, so fulfilled, that the need that I didn't feel any desire at all. Even the desire to meet the hermit as a person. And as I was very tired, I lie down and I fell into a very deep sleep. I didn't know how many minutes I slept, but when I woke up, I didn't know where I was. It took time to remember that the other boys were waiting for me. I left the place with a lot of regret. And I had to leave my beloved well and to go down. And in my mind, there is a sentence coming up. I have drunk the most delicious water in the world. And when I were back with the other children, I did not have the intention to tell them the story that I have met the hermit in the form of a well. It sounds like if I tell them, well, I will lose something. My experience, kind of deep spiritual experience, I wanted to keep by myself, to keep it long. And later on, when I grew up, I had the hope that everyone I meet will have a chance to meet his hermit also in their lifetime. Maybe you have met your hermit, but you have not recognized him. Your hermit might not be a well, but might be a rock, or a tree, or a child, or a mountain. But once you have got the hermit, you know where to go. And you begin your spiritual life that can help you to overcome difficulties and find peace. And that is one of the stories I like to tell children who come to Plum Village and to practice.
Thank you very much. We're really enjoying this conversation, but I'm afraid we're running very late and we can't walk in the dark. As enlightened as we are, I don't think we can walk in the dark. So thank you very much. I believe right now we will compress, a few things. Some monastics want to talk to us about one of your initiatives, and the Wake Up initiative, and I invite you to do that. And then we hear you have some gifts for us. We have some gifts for you. And then maybe a 5-minute break. Please gather back here for instructions from Thai on the walking meditation. All right, 5 minutes. So, and meanwhile, we will hear about the Wake Up initiative. Thank you.
Dear friends, thank you for your patience and thank you for your enthusiasm and your smiles. It's really wonderful to sit and look at a sea of glowing faces. I think we all feel very at home here. So we wanted to share with you a little bit about something that came about 3 years ago. Our teacher asked us to find ways to share the practice with young people, knowing that the younger you are, the more receptive you are, the more flexible your mind is, the more quickly you can adapt and learn good, positive habits. So we didn't do anything. And then a few weeks later, our teacher reminded us you should really find a way to share the practice with young people. and we still didn't do anything. So then eventually our teacher, I think he just saw that we weren't going to come up with anything. So one day during the summer retreat, there were maybe 1,000 people in Plum Village. I went back to my bedroom in the monastic residence, and I found on my bed a piece of paper with a handwritten text and a little note on the corner saying, please add more concrete things, Thai. And so Thai, out of his compassion, had written for us the sort of mission statement, as it were, of this movement for young people. And he asked us to edit, and we came up with a name which is Wake Up. And Thai was happy with that and with the name. And so the next day, after the Dharma talk, he asked a few of us to come up. And he just put a microphone in our hand, and he said, tell them about the Wake Up movement. So we had to say something about, self-organizing movement, which didn't exist yet, but was basically, by talking about it, we made it exist. And then we thought our troubles were over, so we gave him the microphone back, and then he said, tell them about the website. What website? There was no website, but pretty soon there had to be a website. So you can visit that if you like. I don't know what happens if you put Wake Up into Google, but you probably won't find our website. But if you go to wkup.org, you will find a website with this practice, but shared in a way which is accessible, we hope, to young people. And we found that very quickly we've had a very, very positive response because we have, I think, as you've all experienced, this incredible suite of tools to address the suffering of modern life. And basically, this is just our aspiration to find ways to share it more widely with people. So maybe I'll pass on to my brother Stream, and he can share more with you.
Yeah. So dear friends, so basically we want to find a way when people find their hermit to keep it alive, and that's done, we found best by community. So we try to create spaces for young people to come to, and then have them run it themselves. So we hope something like this can happen at Google, that you can come together. We know that Meng and many others have created wonderful spaces already where mindfulness can come in to your lives here at Google. We're looking for ways to put it out there. One of the ways we're doing it is by going to college campuses. We've gone to the UK this spring, to Cambridge, Oxford, Leeds, a bunch of universities, and brought the practice right there into the spaces where the students are. And we do mindful eating, everything we're going to do today. And this fall, we're doing a tour in the US, in the Northeast. So we've been invited to Harvard, Dartmouth, Columbia, a bunch of places, Georgetown. We're also going into detention centers and prisons where young people, teenagers, people in their 20s for various reasons are in jail, but we want to bring this practice to them so they can have something that they can do to transform their being, their way of being. We look at Wake Up as a grassroots movement. Yeah, it's inspired by Thai, but it's inspired by the Buddha, but it's available for everyone. So the practice like total relaxation that we will learn later on today has been very popular with young people. We've had flash mob meditation sessions in London, and they're becoming like little wildfires growing everywhere, yeah, of peace and calm in a way that people can relate. Yeah, they can see that young people are doing something. It's not violent, it's not aggressive, but it's actually transforming themselves inside. So any way that you guys feel inspired to help here at Google, we're really open to hearing how what ways we can extend this. We know that some people here know how to build websites, maybe. For example, that's one way we can get into people's lives, that we can really come right into the rooms themselves and share this practice with them. So please help us. The website for Wake Up, like my brother said, is wkup.org. There's a US site for that will be tracking the tour that will happen from October 20th till November 10th, and that's us.wkup.org. So please check it out and write to us if you have any ideas. We're very open. We want to make this grow as big as possible. So thank you for your support.
So, dear respected teacher and dear friends, on behalf of Plum Village and Plum Village delegations, we would like to take this opportunity to thank you. Thank you so much for having us here today. It's such a privilege to be here. So in gratitude, we have a very special gift that actually written by our teacher that we'd like to offer to Google. And we would like to offer us to Olivia on behalf of Google, so please accept this present.
I do, thank you.
And, oh, I'm sorry. And, and in addition to this, we also have a few books, and these are just the two brand new books of our teacher. The title is Peace is Every Breath. It's a meditation for busy people. So we thought it's probably suitable for you. So, so here it is. So,
Thank you so much.
would you like to open it to see what it is?
Should I open it?
Sure.
Okay.
It's okay. So in addition, we also have a few gifts for the organizers. So first, we would like to offer this to Olivia. Thank you so much for helping us to organize this event. So without you, this probably is going to be, it may not happen. So thank you so much. And we also would like to have a gift for Katrina. So thank you for helping to organize. And the last one that we have is for Mina. Okay, thank you, Mina. Thank you so much.
We have some gifts for you. This is actually for Thai, but he's not here now. But you don't have to open everything, but maybe you would take the top gift and wear it in place of Thai. So this is what new hire at Googler wears. And if they are mindful, they don't have to wear it for as long. Lillian, would you come up? We have a gift for you. And Brother Phap Nguyen, we have a gift for you. And then I have 70 pieces for each one of you. Maybe you would demonstrate and wear one. Thank you.
Google Pen.
If you remove the battery, take this away. Yes. And turn it.
Complicate Google Gadget.
I need engineering here. Anyway, it flashes. They're red, yellow, and other colored lights. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming. This is a wonderful connection for us. And now I think we'll give the instructions for the walking meditation.
So maybe we'll come back in 5 minutes.
In 5 minutes. All right, you get 5 minutes. Thank you. Thank you.